Greg Kelly Show.
So could it be happening to a nicer guy, huh? Joe Biden, humiliated, beyond humiliated. His worst nightmares all coming true. The truth now undeniable. Everybody can see it, and Democrats are left. What can they do? Throw him overboard this late in the game? They're trying. Not clear it's actually going to work. A lot of people want him gone. Joe Biden doesn't want to leave. Hunter Biden doesn't want to leave. In a weird way, they may hold all the cards. I don't think so. I think he will be forced from the race. I don't want him forced from the race. I want him to be beaten bad by Trump. I don't want to take any chances with any other, Michelle. Don't tell me that couldn't happen, by the way, because everybody knows they got a really big, possibly a bigger problem with Kamala than Joe. So there are a lot of strange things going on. It is an amazing time to be alive, isn't it? And, I think it's like we put in our dues in a weird way with Trump. You know what I mean? We stuck with him. We stuck with him when it was, it was never hard for me to be a Trump supporter, but there were times where it was just bad news. It was unfair. It was corrupt what they were doing to him. But, it was tough fighting for him. And now we're seeing amazing victories. I call them victories. I don't know. We're not finished. We're winning some battles where it's always nice to see the enemy blow themselves up or have a civil war. It is, quite frankly. When they're too busy fighting each other, then that makes them a lot less potent. But, can't take anything for granted. This is still, anything can happen. Hey, Biden was on this morning on Morning Joe to clear it all up, right? To clear everything up. I haven't heard it. Have you guys heard it? So I'm told that he did not do himself any favors, that he kind of screwed it up all over again. He's on there and he's shuffling papers, and Joe Scarborough loves the guy, or at least he says he does. And so he phoned in, did the phoner. Can we hear? We got it? All right, this is Joe just a little while ago. Joe to Joe on MSNBC. Go ahead.
The American public is not going to move away from me as an average voter. And again, I'm here for two reasons, pal. One, to rebuild the economy for hardworking middle-class people, give everybody a shot. Just a straight shot. Everybody gets a fair chance, number one. Number two, remember all this talk about how I don't have the black support? Come on, give me a break. Come with me. Watch. I'm getting so frustrated by the elites. Now, I'm not talking about you guys, but about the elites in the party who they know so much more. But if any of these guys don't think I should run against me, go ahead, announce for president. Challenge me at the convention.
Ooh, I think somebody just might take you up on that offer, you angry jerk. What? Take a shot. I don't, watch me. Watch what? You went to a black church this weekend and you got a round of applause? Hey, that doesn't make up for you ain't black, okay? You just look at the poll numbers. Don't watch Joe. Look at the data. They are fleeing from Joe Biden, going to Trump. All right, so that was angry. And by the way, it doesn't prove anything. It proves that he can read off of an index card, right? One of the reasons why he's on the phone. He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to do it. He just read and get angry. And he is an angry, nasty guy. Everybody knows that. Now, the other thing, since we last talked, there was the Friday night George Stephanopoulos interview. I give George Stephanopoulos a B-, probably a C+ for the interview. C+ or a B-. We can't let him off the hook. Even it was. I thought it was better at first. Now I thought about it a little bit. The way he cross-examines Republicans to death. Then again, it is the president, and I've seen people back off a little bit on the president, but he was kind of relentless at the same time. But he blew that one too. Joe did. There's a million ways to answer this question. He chose the one way you shouldn't answer this question. You ready for the question? Let's hear. No. I want to hear the one where Stephanopoulos asked him, "Did you see the debate? Did you see the debate, Joe?" I think. Here's George.
Did you ever watch the debate afterwards?
I don't think I did. No.
Well, what I'm trying.
All right. Wait. I don't think I did. No. I don't think I did. Again, a million ways. Yes, I watched it. It was painful. No, I didn't. I couldn't. Yes, I watched it with one eye open. I watched half of it, then I turned it off in disgust. I wanted to, but I didn't have time. I don't remember. I don't remember. This is, you want to clear up doubts about your mental acuity? It's the opposite. But I think, can I hear that Morning Joe clip one more time? That this is the real Joe Biden. Dumb, angry, power mad, and just stuck on himself. You ready? Let's do that again.
The American public is not going to move away from me as an average voter. And again, I'm here for two reasons, pal. One, to rebuild the economy, for hard-working middle-class people, give everybody a shot.
Shot.
Just a straight shot. Everybody gets a shot, a fair chance. Number one. Number two, remember all this talk about how I don't have the black support? Come on, give me a break. Come with me. Watch. I'm getting so frustrated by the elites. Now, I'm not talking about you guys, but about the elites in the party who they know so much more. But if any of these guys,
everybody knows more than you.
Run against me. Go ahead, announce the president. Challenge me at the convention.
Well, Joe, that just might happen. And you know what? He's so angry like that. What did he say his presidency was about? Two things: giving the middle class a shot, and watch out, I'm popular with black people. That sounds like one hell of an agenda. I want to give the middle class a shot. You think Joe's been talking about giving the middle class a shot since 1972? It's meaningless. It doesn't mean anything. He just says it. Right? It doesn't mean it. And how about unifying the country? Remember that nonsense? Remember he's going to unify the country? Instead, he's exacerbated everything, right? There are just so many ways. I don't know how this is going to play out. I don't know. I mean, some of the smartest people I've been talking to who have great I'll be honest with you. I don't talk to too many people at the White House. All right. If they were caught talking to me, they'd be in trouble. All right. They can't talk to me. I don't want to talk to them either. I mean, if I were talking to them, they would have been trying to convince me for the past 2 years that Joe Biden is normal. You notice that the coverage, obviously, they buried it. They pretended he was normal. Why did the White House correspondents do that? And you know what it might just be? It might just get down to that silly rubber chicken dinner they have, the White House Correspondents' Dinner. You know that thing where they have the comedians come and make fun of the president, and the president gets up? Well, Trump would not go to that thing. And they hated that. It hurt the dinner. They couldn't get the celebrities to come. One year they were complaining the only celebrity they got was Matthew Modine. Perfectly nice guy and a genuine celebrity. But, you know, the year before they had Kim Kardashian. They had, I don't know, one of those Desperate Housewives. They had whoever the famous person of the moment was. When Trump stopped coming, that hurt their little precious dinner. So Biden started to go again. Do you think Biden just said, I'm going to go because I like you guys so much? You hear the bitterness right there. Hey, it's one thing that Donald Trump and Joe Biden could possibly get along on. If they talked about the press, the media. You know, Joe hates, he's too dumb to see how they do everything, how they bend over backwards to accommodate him. And they do. It's just amazing. But, you know, when you're reading about yourself, you're not actually reading the way a normal person would read about somebody else. You're overly sensitive. And so is Joe. So he thinks he's been treated incredibly unfairly. Well, we know that Donald Trump has been treated unfairly. These guys would actually bond. Possibly, if there's one thing they could bond over how rotten the press is, right? And Joe just gives lip service to, you guys are really important, the fourth estate, you're protecting democracy. No, he despises them. Couple of things going on. A conspiracy that's been busted wide open. The conspiracy. The senior people around Joe Biden, from Tony Blinken to Jake Sullivan to Ron Klain to some guy named Zients, Jeffrey Zients, the chief of staff, to a bunch of other people you haven't heard of. The people who brought you our Afghanistan defeat, the same people brought you that debate the other night. It was really interesting when Trump said, do you remember? He said, Joe, you don't fire anybody. Why don't you fire anybody? After Afghanistan, you should have fired every single person who was involved in that. But Joe didn't. Why not? He doesn't want anybody telling stories. That's why. You know, one of the reasons why Nixon did not fire Kissinger, and he wanted to fire Kissinger, he even he even conveyed, hey, I think it's time. Mr. President, you can't do that. Please, I beg of you. I am nothing without this job. May he rest in peace. He was a very insecure man, Kissinger. But he went out and dined out on the fact that he was, the national security advisor to Nixon, and he trash talked Nixon. And Nixon was tempted to fire him. But what's that old saying? You want the guy pissing inside the tent instead of going, wait, how does it work again? We'd rather have him outside pissing on the tent than inside pissing in the tent. I think LBJ had it right. But there's a couple of ways you can look at that. I'm sorry for the crude language and the crude thought. What would you rather have, Diego? Somebody in your tent urinating or somebody outside your tent urinating on the tent? Personally, I would want somebody outside the tent urinating on it. So, and sometimes they would make that argument, but no, they decided they wanted to keep him inside urinating, whatever. All of these people have stayed there because they could sell out Joe in a heartbeat, right? So it's almost like mutually assured destruction. We're all in this together, the conspirators. And they've been lying and deceiving everybody in America, only to a point. I mean, you've seen the polls. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. Like 70% of Americans have doubts about Joe Biden's mental acuity. And this is before the debate. You can't keep this stuff. Maybe you can for one event, two events. Maybe you can for a couple of months, maybe a year, maybe a year and a half. You can't do it for a year and a half. And we have social media for everything we don't like about social media. There's some great stuff there. The truth, unedited clips, the stuff that the evening news with Lester Holt won't show you, and their correspondents. I saw some of these correspondents like Kelly O'Donnell. Nice woman. I actually worked with her a little bit, but I haven't seen her in 15 years, so I feel safe in saying this. I think I don't feel guilty in saying it. That's what I should say. She was the president of the White House Correspondents Association, and she's there with President Biden, and they're clinking glasses, and they're being friends, and she cannot report on him honestly. She won't. She just won't. And it comes right down to Trump wouldn't go to that silly dinner. How about that one? And I got all these stories about them lamenting when Donald Trump stopped coming. It really hurt us. Hey, remember the 3 a.m. phone call? Forget the politics. And Stephanopoulos did not ask about this. What about governing? What about governing? Can Joe Biden govern right now? And he can. Obviously, this is not a man who can govern effectively. This is not a man who can respond to a crisis at 3 a.m. Remember that 3 a.m. phone call? It was like the biggest issue. Who's going to be able to take that phone call at 3 a.m. when Putin decides to do something really bad to us? Well, Joe said out loud that he can't be bothered after 4 o'clock. He doesn't want any events after 4 o'clock. He said that to like 35 governors on the phone. He had a big conference call. He said, yeah, my staff screwed up. They're giving me too many events after 4 p.m. Well, a governor heard that on the phone call. Several did. And then they leaked it. And the press knows it. I know it. Vladimir Putin knows it. I don't think he needed the governors to tell him. They have their own intelligence services. Okay, he can figure these things out. So maybe if you want to do something that would really annoy the United States, you do it at an inopportune time, say 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 3 a.m. You do it like that. And the other problem is if you have Joe out of commission, so who's really in charge? Even myself, I was like, well, you got AIDS. There are people to take care of that stuff. Well, what people? Who are these people? And are they going to take care of it themselves? Well, if you don't have a clear executive in charge, what do you have? Infighting, sniping, stupid cliques, and it's just like high school. Washington, D.C., the White House, it's just like high school. Who's up, who's down, who has influence? And if the president isn't a strong presence, well, who's going to moderate a dispute, say, between the National Security Advisor and the Secretary of State? The Chief of Staff? He's just they'll be like, hey, I was confirmed by the U.S. Senate. You weren't confirmed by the U.S. Senate. But yes, but I am the president's representative here. I actually run the White House when he's not here. I don't care about that. I got 8,000 people who work for me over there. You can see how that would happen. So it's a very dangerous time as well. Very dangerous and very interesting, too. Give me a call, 800-848-9222, 800-848-9222.
Greg Kelly.
Economists warn that massive tax hikes could devastate your IRA and 401k as the stock market braces for impact. I'm Larry Kudlow, and I urge you to fortify your savings with physical gold with my friends at Priority Gold. To learn how gold and silver can help diversify your savings, please call 1-800-405-GOLD or just visit PriorityGold.com to get a free gold information guide. That's 1-800-405-GOLD.
Hi, it's Lou Dobbs for Priority Gold, America's precious metals dealer. These are volatile times with high inflation, soaring debt, wars on multiple continents, and rising financial stress. Central banks are buying gold to diversify their reserves, so are many Americans. Call Priority Gold and find out how precious metals can help you diversify your portfolio. They're highly rated and happy to help. Call 1-866-303-6357 or get a free gold guide at PriorityGoldGuide.com. That's PriorityGoldGuide.com.
This is the Greg Kelly Show.
And don't forget this thing. It could very well be a setup. All of it a setup. And I actually don't like that. I don't like if they did it to do something that I suspect that they did. Okay. I'm talking about the swamp. I'm talking about people we don't know, people who are unelected, thinking that they are in charge of our constitutional republic, that they erroneously call a democracy. It's never been further from a democracy, actually, when you think about it. But was this thing scheduled for June of 2024, June 27th of 2024, the earliest debate ever in history, in terms of modern presidential history? I looked it up. I had to double check. You always have to double check these things. The earliest debate, like post 1960, a televised debate, I think was September 26th. So this is a full 3 months early. 3 months early. Why? Why did they do it 3 months early? Now, I know what the swamp has been telling me, there's some smart people who really believe this. They say that, well, the internal polls are even worse than the others, and they needed a game changer. They needed to shake it up. Well, there've got to be some other ways to shake it up than have your weak, feeble, literally feeble candidate go out to the lion that is Trump, right? I mean, it's got to be a setup. I don't trust anybody or anything right now. How did they not know that he was going to fail miserably? He's only been getting worse. Now, I heard this, that they think he's actually going to be worse in September, so they would do it now to get it out of the way because he's going to be really bad in a couple of months. I can I don't know if I can actually. Why did they send him out there? Maybe they wanted him to crash and burn so they can take the nomination away from him. And you got big-time Democrats. Well, you got a lot of small-time guys saying he must get out now, he must get out now, he must get out now. Then you got them medium Democrats saying, well, Joe's got a decision to make, like Adam Schiff, like Jim Clyburn. Oh, Jerry Nadler. Yeah, one for a crisis. The West Side congressman has told Joe to get out. Get out.
You're listening to The Greg Kelly Show.
You know, a few days ago, I canceled a lot of my dopey subscriptions that I forgot about. You know, you'd be surprised how many things you might be subscribing to and not realizing it. However, I made sure I subscribed to the hottest political content provider, whatever you want to call it. Go to walkingduck.com/Mark. walkingduck.com/Mark. Get rid of all your other subscriptions, okay? This is it. Mark Halperin is probably the leading political journalist of our time, and nobody has been on top of the situation with Joe Biden like him. And by the way, he runs these really interesting calls, and you could, if you subscribe to this stuff, you could find yourself on a call right next to Newt Gingrich, and you can ask him a question. It's pretty wild. Mark Halperin, welcome back. What's new?
Greg Kelly, you're very nice, and apparently you couldn't say it if it weren't true. So thank you.
Okay.
It's a very strange day in this question of whether Joe Biden's going to be the Democratic nominee. The polling is horrible for him today. You have still lots of people calling for him not to be the nominee. Lots of behind-the-scenes machinations by Democratic politicians and donors and pundits to try to get him out. And yet, between the letter he wrote to Congress and his appearance on Morning Joe, he's more firmly going forward than he ever has since this began. So it's pretty clear to me that if you're going to kill the king, you go for the king, you must kill the king. And that the only way to kill the king is to have a united plan. There's no unity in the Democratic Party. Some people want Joe Biden to stay. Some people want him to go. But the people who want him to go have 72 different ideas about what that means. So I would say today he's staying.
Well, you mentioned he's holding on firmly, maybe a bit too firmly. The Morning Joe interview you said, well, listen to this. I know you've heard it, but I think it's pretty wild, and it shows that he's possibly deranged. Cut 15, please. Cut 15.
The American public is not going to move away from me as an average voter. And again, I'm here for two reasons, pal. One, to rebuild the economy for hardworking middle-class people, give everybody a shot. Just a straight shot. Everybody gets a fair chance. Number one. Number two, remember all this talk about how I don't have the black support? Come on, give me a break. Come with me. Watch. I'm getting so frustrated by the elites. Now, I'm not talking about you guys, but about the elites in the party who they know so much more. But if any of these guys don't think I should run against me, go ahead, announce the president. Challenge me at the convention.
He's letting it all hang out. We know he's pretty nasty behind the scenes. Now he's letting it out in the open.
Greg, why did you cut it off before the part where he said, "Get off my lawn"? Look, Greg, I say with all due respect, I understand why you played that clip. And I think there's no one who supports Joe Biden who would say that in terms of tone and substance, that was perfect. But that's not the guy from the debate. You can say that that's on a continuum from the debate, but it's not the guy from the debate. If he's that quote unquote good in his public presentation, that's good enough to be in it. He's way behind. I mean, the irony of all this is the guy's fighting to be the nominee when he's falling further behind in the battleground states. Rob Reiner, who tweeted only yesterday, Biden's got to go, tweeted today, if he's every day as good as he was on Morning Joe, then I'm all for him again. So that's good enough for a lot of Democrats. May not be good enough for Greg Kelly. Doesn't mean he's got a great chance to win. His chances to win before were small. They're smaller now, but he's going forward at this point.
Well, I would imagine that there are actually probably a few Democrats who are a little bit creeped out by what he did. I mean, anybody can yell into the phone from the comfort of their home or office, especially if it's the White House. You get on stage, he choked. There seems to be a neurological issue. All right, let me ask you this. And you actually ran a conference call with some of the biggest names in politics a few months ago about Michelle getting into this race. Now, I know that you have been firmly, this is a pipe dream, this is a fantasy, not going to happen. But the people who said that, they said that before the world changed, and the world is in a very different place right now, especially the Democrat Party. She is somebody who does not like Joe Biden, I believe. Well, tell me a little bit about Michelle. And is that as preposterous now? It can't be. It can't be. It just can't be, Mark.
It's equally preposterous. She'll never run for public office. She just won't, Greg. I mean, I understand why people bring it up. There are all sorts of logics to it. She's a great foil for the right. She will never run for public office. It's just, and it's nothing to do with her enjoying her life currently. She's never been interested in it. She was barely tolerated her husband doing it. She will never run for public office.
All right, fair enough. And it's not that a foil. I mean, I think that let's pretend for a moment she did. It would satisfy a lot of, like you said, there's a logic to it. There's a logic to it. All right, so that's it. It's interesting, Mark. You have changed your mind on this, which is very interesting and actually commendable. A lot of people, they make up their mind. Okay, Joe Biden's getting out, and they stick with it no matter what the incoming data is. You're taking data and you're adjusting as the data and the stories and the story changes, and you're changing too.
Let me tell you why I was very confident he was going to get out of the race, because about 48 hours ago, senior officials on Capitol Hill, senior officials in the Biden campaign were saying, we don't see how he can make it. Right? So it wasn't them saying Biden's told us he's going to get out, but these were senior people saying, we just don't see a path forward. 48 hours later, what they're saying to me is, he's all in. Some of the people who were freaked out have now stabilized themselves. I remember when I covered Bill Clinton after the Monica Lewinsky story broke. Some of the toughest, most hard-nosed people I'd ever covered in politics were in tears on the telephone with me. Bill Clinton aides saying, this is a nightmare. His life is ruined. Our life is ruined. This is a disaster. Those same aides went from crying to running a rock'em sock'em war room that saved Bill Clinton's presidency. And that's in an abbreviated form of what seems to be happening here. The people who were panicked 2 days ago, now the very same people are saying to me, you know what? Maybe this is stabilized. Now, again, what they're ignoring is the polling. What they've stabilized is the nomination. They haven't done much to turn around the damage the debate did to his general election prospects. But in terms of saving the nomination, they're feeling pretty good.
Hey, one of those guys who freaked out after New Hampshire or before New Hampshire over Jennifer Flowers, I believe, was George Stephanopoulos, who thought he should quit and may have. It's one of the reasons I think.
Irony.
How about that one? So
or historical through line, either way.
Hey, what about this? This is a new factor, perhaps. I hear that Hunter Biden is going to every single meeting and annoying, infuriating all the senior staff. And he knows better, and he's glued to his father's side. That's another factor here, an X factor, whatever you want to call it, that I think maybe could blow it all up. What are you hearing about Hunter?
Well, I don't think he's in every meeting, but he's been in a lot of meetings, and he played a big role in prepping his dad for the Stephanopoulos interview. So I understand it. Look, he's around, and the Biden clan, when they're feeling the staff is laying them down, they turn to each other. I know there's a lot of jokes about Hunter and how preposterous it is that he's in these meetings and playing a big role, and there are people in the president's staff who feel that way. But he's not without an understanding of these issues, and obviously he cares a lot about his dad. So when my father's faced a crisis, I've gotten in the foxhole with him, even in things that were outside my lane, and that's what families do.
All right. Another thing, and before we go, I am still kind of baffled by why they agreed to this debate in the first place. I know apparently the polling was bad, and they thought he would do better. But, I just had to double check for myself. This is a full 3 months earlier than any other debate. 3 months. And, you look at Tony Blinken over the past 3 years. I mean, he is perpetually freaked out by Joe Biden. What is he going to say next? Oh, my God, we got a problem. I still can't get my hands around why they allowed this to happen when they had a rationale. They could just say, well, we're not going to debate a convicted felon. And they could have gotten away with that. So anything more on why they did it, when they did it, it just seems like the biggest bonehead move in the history of the world.
They did it because of the reality of the Electoral College. They're way behind. In the battleground states, they don't have an Electoral College path at all. And the one they kind of see hazily in the distance is a narrow path to exactly 270 electoral votes, the minimum number needed. And so the alternative to doing an early debate was waiting until the fall for debate, hoping that they would have a better convention than the Republicans. But the reality was, day after day being behind in the polls. And the public polls were better for Biden than the private polls, and they worried that the public polls would start to show what their polls were showing, which is really no path to win. So they had to try to change it. They tried all sorts of other options, but they didn't see anything that, for them, as clearly put them on the path to where they wanted to be, which is a side-by-side contrast between the two men. The fact that they didn't execute means it was a bad plan because they didn't execute. But had he executed, I think it would have been a good plan.
Let's go to the Republican side real quick. I think you had a prediction on who it was going to be the vice president that you didn't reveal to anybody. So now that we're on the verge of finding out who Trump's running mate is, was this guy on your list? And who do you think it's going to be now?
Well, I really don't know. And I share the suspicion that some have that the list of three names, Burgum, Rubio, and Vance, that have been handed out to everybody, does not contain the winner. Karl Rove said he thought it might be Mike Pompeo. I think it might be Glenn Youngkin or Nikki Haley. There could be like a big surprise that would really rock the Democrats back. If it's one of the three, my gut says it's going to be Vance, just because my sources keep telling me it's going to be Vance, and they have for a while. Rubio makes the most sense to me. I think Burgum is seen as solid, but I still think it's a little risky because he's never played at this level. So the short answer is I don't have any idea. But nothing would surprise me. Any of the three guys on the supposed short list wouldn't surprise me, and a surprise, ironically, would not surprise me.
And if you don't mind, Mark, tell us a little bit about walkingduck.com/Mark. There are all sorts of cool features. I love it as a website, but how do you describe the walkingduck.com/Mark Halperin experience?
Thank you for asking, Greg. This is what I call concierge coverage. It's not for people who don't have a lot of money because it's expensive. But what you get is a daily newsletter with my take on what's going on every day, not just Monday through Friday, but 7 days a week. And then, as you said, part of these Zooms that you've been on, where you have the smartest people in American politics. It's not partisan. They're Republicans and Democrats. We're not there to fight or score points. We're there to learn and educate. I have great access to lots of people. I learn a ton on these calls. I find them super interesting, informative, engaging, thought-provoking. And so check it out, walkingduck.com/Mark. If you can afford it,
it's not that expensive.
It's unique. You'll find it's unique. It's unique. I don't think there's another service like it to get a sophisticated take every day about what's going on.
Yeah, no, it's really special. You're onto something really big here. Walkingduck.com/Mark. Congratulations on it. Get rid of all your other dopey subscriptions, people. This is the one you want. Mark Halperin, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, man. Talk to you soon.
You bet. We got to adjust his marketing, though. We don't want to talk about how expensive it is. I don't think it's not even that expensive. It's not that expensive. Wow. So I think he's right about that, though. It's not going to be one of those three. It's not going to be one of those three on the Republican side. Could it be Vivek? Could it be Nikki Haley? I don't want it to be Nikki. Please don't let it be Nikki. Oh, it can't be Nikki. Can it? Can it? Can it? Please, no. Wait a second. Kevin, is it going to be Nick? No, it's not going to be Nikki Haley. Kevin, you just heard the smartest guy in politics say it could be Nikki Haley. So it could be Nikki Haley. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, Greg? Appreciate your show. Appreciate WABC and everything everybody do. I just want to say first, I think Mr. Catsimatidis is one of the best CEOs in America, and he's running circles around Bob Pittman and all the rest of these other CEOs of radio stations. With that being said, I actually think that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is going to be the Democrat. They're going to select him as a nominee for president. And also, I just want to say, I wanted your take on with the vice president selection. I think, nobody could predict Trump, and that's a great quality of him. And I think he's going to choose, this is my personal belief, just by looking. I think that the North Carolina lieutenant governor, Mark Robertson, is a wild card that nobody's talking about, and because Trump gave him a lot of praise and they respect each other a lot. So I'll watch out for Mark Robertson, and I'll watch out for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. The reason Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is the CEO of Endeavor. He got good relations with The Rock, and his brother is one of the guys who used to work at the old Chicago mayor.
Ari Emanuel. Guess what? That guy is also Trump's agent. Ari Emanuel's brother is who's the other? Rahm Emanuel. Rahm and Ari. Yeah. Look, here's my beef with The Rock. He totally juiced it to get that muscled. All right. It was all roids, right? And he's not even a good actor. I mean, what the hell? What does he have to stand for? Nobody knows. He's already come out. I think he said he regrets endorsing Biden. So that's a plus in his category. What was he? What movie was he in anyway? Shrek? I mean, what was he? No, I don't think so. I don't think it can be him. But Kevin, thanks for all the other stuff. I agree with you about John. And yeah, good stuff. Kevin has thought it all through. I just don't. No, it's not going to be Dwayne The Rock. However, he might run next time, so it's not preposterous. It's not crazy that guy could run. But I don't like him. I think he's a self-absorbed beefcake ham. Yes. I know a few other self-absorbed beefcake hams who are going to remain nameless. And I'll be right back.
Greg Kelly. You're listening to The Greg Kelly Show.
Does anybody know what the hell's going on over there in France? Macron. Everybody hates Emmanuel Macron. And like I predicted, some of it stems from his wife and how they met. He was in seventh grade, and she was like a 39-year-old teacher with kids. I mean, in America, you get arrested for that stuff, right? I mean, it's just, and they become madly in love with each other, and they get married. That's very strange. So they called elections, and let's see, French Prime Minister Gabriel Attal to tender resignation. Is this the guy? Who the hell knows what's going on over there? But nobody likes Emmanuel Macron, and Trump. Trump saw right through that guy. A real lightweight. Hey. The other thing is, we haven't done this in a while. My older daughter, Annalise, is quite the storyteller. We have a little portion of The Walking House. She tells me a story about a house that can walk all over the world. Go ahead.
Once upon a time, there was a house. The house was on the street, and it was a walking house. It had so many people in it. So then, the house walked all the way to its favorite countries, and so it went walking all the way to India, and it sang its song. Beep, 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 beep.
All right, thank you very much. So we'll pick up that a little bit later. The house walked to India. Isn't that beautiful? A walking house. Hello, Yvonne from New Jersey. What can I do for you?
Hi, Greg. Good to talk to you. I want to talk to you about that 3 a.m. phone call.
Yeah.
I'm so mad I could spit. Okay. A while ago, soldiers from Benghazi called 3 times, if not more. Obama didn't pick up the phone. Hillary didn't pick up the phone. That's 2 strikes. What makes you think that Joe's going to pick up the phone when his knight in shining armor, his hero, didn't pick up the phone?
Well, it's not his hero. He hates Obama. That's another little thing here. Yeah, he's going to be ill-equipped. Can't do anything. Yeah, no, it's terrible. Trump, I mean, my God, he'll be up at 3 a.m. truthing and tweeting. We know he keeps a late schedule. He'll have no problem responding. Yvonne, thank you very, very much. June, hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, Greg.
Hi.
I wanted to talk to you about Jill Biden. Did you know that she is the oldest of 5 sisters?
No, actually, I didn't know that.
Nobody does, because where are they?
I don't know. I haven't looked for them. They haven't come to tell me what's going on with Jill's sisters. Have you looked?
No, but I just think it's unusual that we see Joe Biden's brothers and sisters.
Look, not really. I mean, Michelle had a brother named Craig. I guess I knew about him. Let me see. Who's another first lady? I mean, does Melania have any brothers and sisters? Think about it, June.
Yes, she has a sister.
All right. Yeah. She has a sister. I mean, it's not like she received a lot of coverage, right? I mean, who's another first lady? Laura Bush. Did Laura Bush have a brother and sister? I don't know. I don't really care either. Well, I didn't know she was the oldest of 5. I should know that. I'm going to look into it a little bit, but I don't. You think it's inherently suspicious?
I think everything about the Biden family is suspicious.
Well, that's good. You're right. You're right. What? Go. It's what?
There's also no wedding photo of Jill and Joe. You can't find one.
That doesn't mean, that it doesn't exist. I mean, they did get married. I know her ex-husband, and I know when they got married, 1977. But your suspicions are sound.
Hi, it's Lou Dobbs for Priority Gold, America's precious metals dealer. These are volatile times with high inflation, soaring debt, wars on multiple continents, and rising financial stress. Central banks are buying gold to diversify their reserves, so are many Americans. Call Priority Gold and find out how precious metals can help you diversify your portfolio. They're highly rated and happy to help. Call 1-866-303-6357 or get a free gold guide at PriorityGoldGuide.com. That's PriorityGoldGuide.com.